Bowlingotter
Game review.
Make no mistake, big popularity in the world of free indie horror games is a big deal. Back in 2013, One Late Night from Black Curtain Studio got a ton of attention from some of the most popular YouTubers, and the game was a household name in the free PC indie horror community. But let's be real here. Once you start charging actual money for your game and put it on the largest PC gaming storefront there is, the standards go way up. One Late Night might have entertained a lot of horror gamers looking for a freebie, but the release of its sequel, One Late Night Deadline, on Steam is a cautionary tale. Whether it costs you a dime or not, this isn't an enjoyable experience by any means, and it absolutely is not worth 15 of your hard-earned dollars.
Machine. Oh, it's got glowing
fix the
eyes.
crap out of that vending machine. Yeah, that's not...
Oh, what? What?
Like its predecessor, One Late Night Deadline is a first-person adventure game in the horror genre. Gameplay consists of wandering throughout an office building in search of keycards necessary to open locked doors and complete objectives, with the eventual goal of leaving the office. On occasion, you may be confronted with slow-moving enemies in the form of a zombie, a dead woman's ghost, or an apparition in a sort of alternate dark world, all of which instantly end your game if they get close to you. But that's about the long and short of things. It's already not an especially exciting proposition, but it's peppered with arbitrary objectives and bugs galore, making finishing the game a chore at best.
I can't read this one, 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 I can't read this one. Clearly you're not in the right place, can't put this there. Oh my god.
At the time this review was written, the game is in version 1.0.5, but plays much more like an unfinished alpha. And not every game has to have the realistic visual depth of Battlefield 4, but One Late Night Deadline is an odd concoction of twitchy PS1 era character models and hardware choking reflections and lighting. To say that this title isn't optimized for performance would be the understatement of the century. My PC isn't a powerhouse, but it runs the aforementioned Battlefield 4 at an average of near 60 frames per second at high settings. I couldn't get One Late Night Deadline to sniff 30 frames per second at its absolutely lowest settings. I checked the forums, and I'm definitely not alone in that regard. Improvements have been made to the performance since it was released, and it's nice to see that Black Curtain Studios is taking the complaints seriously, but if 1.0.5 is as good as it gets, it's still downright terrible in the performance department.
I think it crashed. Did it just hang
Why
again?
did that just...
It just locked up on me again? 3 times a key card. I accidentally clicked on the computer and it crashed.
Oh no.
I accidentally clicked on the computer screen and it crashed again.
But this is just scratching the surface of how One Late Night Deadline is far too ambitious for its own good. Whereas the original One Late Night was a particularly slow experience in both literal and figurative senses, it took place within the confines of a small section of an office building with only a handful of offices. That made it bearable to traipse back and forth checking every drawer and under every table to find what was needed because nothing was particularly far away. One Late Night Deadline does nothing to streamline this experience, or at least give it any momentum. But worse, it does exponentially increase the size of the game space, and this is probably its biggest mistake. Instead of plodding slowly through a hallway of about 10 offices, how about 4 hallways of offices and then adding several more floors of hallways of even more offices? How about packing each one of these offices with tons of drawers and cabinets, mostly with nothing in them? Worse yet, how about tucking just a few mandatory keycards away in those countless drawers and cabinets?
Let me get this straight.
That there's different things in each one.
So we're gonna have to walk through the entire office again in this mode to
With the
find
dude
different
following
things
us.
with the dude following us. We're gonna have to go through every room again? Are we really gonna have to do that?
Oh my god.
Bigger is not always better, and it doesn't take long to figure out that One Late Night Deadline is little more than a glorified search for a few needles in a twitchy, buggy, unattractive haystack. While checking every drawer and cabinet you see, you'll start to notice the occasional objective prompt on your screen. But I use the term objective loosely because it's often just a statement of the obvious, like, you found a keycard, or a cryptic pseudo clue like, something is keeping your spirit here.
A lost office sign? What kind of a clue is that?
But the main problem with this is that there's no log of objectives, so the only one you can call up is the last one you discovered. Unless you're gonna keep a notepad handy, you'll have little idea of what it is you're required to do at any given moment in the game. Worse, as you do start to gather things like keycards or pieces of paper, there's no inventory system available. So you have no way of figuring out what items you have so that you might determine which ones you still need to find. And when you can't effectively track your objectives or inventory, progress is made basically by shutting your eyes and pawing until you accidentally start accomplishing objectives. Worse yet, you need to do all of these things while keeping your character from falling asleep.
We died. What?
You collapsed
What?
from exhaustion. You're kidding me, right?
If you walk around for too long, you just pass out and it's game over, just like that. To stay awake, you need to drink soda from the vending machine, and you need to do it every 10 or 15 minutes or so. Or you can just hit E to use dexterity, whatever that is. Math, I guess?
You got something going on there, man.
Where?
Like, did we interrupt you when you were digging your stash?
But even then, you'll be revisiting coffee machines over and over to save progress, even though using the coffee machines does not do anything to keep your character from falling asleep. Oh, and it's in the horror genre, but this game is not scary. It's absolutely not the least bit scary. My wife and I jumped once when a face suddenly shot arbitrarily out of an easel while we were searching the entire office for a few scraps of paper.
Oh, there's nothing. Please give us something. Please give us something. Come on.
But it was completely without context, the essence of a cheap jump scare. And even that wasn't enough to give us any moment of pause for the rest of the game. The narrative is so sparse and hastily thrown in that it does absolutely nothing to tie the pieces of the experience together into any sort of perceivable story.
I want to get out, but I do not know from where. It feels like I am falling into a black and endless expanse.
It took us over 5 hours to complete this game, and we didn't come away with any clear understanding of who our character was, why he was at the office, who the antagonists were, beyond generic ghosts of bad stuff that happened here at some time, and why we couldn't just leave the office whenever we wanted. I mean, we literally were able to walk out of the building anytime, but couldn't actually leave the area. Even at the end, your character finally just casually strolls out of the office, and through it all, it feels like absolutely nothing was ever accomplished. To top it off, even when completing the game, I still had an objective saying that the elevator was stuck, and it never actually was stuck at any point in the game. Like, I know this game was made by one person, okay? But I don't care if your studio has one person working on it, or 1,000 people slaving over it night after night. Once you start asking for money, your game will rightly be compared to the others that share your storefront. And there are countless polished and fantastic choices on Steam for the price of one late deadline and less. Many of them also developed by extremely small teams and often by only one person. No matter what, by releasing this game on this platform, it was declared as a finished product ready for prime time. And under no circumstances can I agree with that sentiment. No matter how much you may have enjoyed watching YouTubers screaming at computer screens playing the original One Late Night, its sequel should be avoided at all costs. If you're still morbidly curious, feel free to check out our full playthrough, or some others that are out there on YouTube. Just don't say we didn't warn you.
As soon as things sound like they were picking up, it's like, all right, well, now let's fix the vending machine. For a second, it looked like it might be getting better. Just for a second, it looked like it might be getting better. Gonna open all the freaking drawers and cabinets and break the game. I can't break the game. I can't possibly break the game because it's already freaking broken. Oh my God, can we end this? I thought I could taste it. I was like, oh no, this is gonna be over. First game